If you're in the market to buy a house, or if you're thinking about getting into the market, you've probably already heard mortgage rates have dropped for 2 weeks in a row. Some headlines use the term plunge, which makes that drop sound pretty significant. Now, part of that is designed to get your attention, but there is an element of truth to it. At first glance, you might not think that half a percentage point is a plunge. But if you consider that rates have hovered between 6 and 8% for over a year now, a half a percentage point in 2 weeks is a significant drop. But regardless of all this, the question I want to help you answer today is, what should you do now? Now, the first thing I want to suggest you do is separate the house or the price of the house from the interest rate. Now, the reason I suggest this is our entire economy is based on borrowing money. All large ticket purchases, for most people, have very little to do with the price, a little bit to do with the interest rate, but a lot to do with the monthly payment. If someone can afford the monthly payment, it really doesn't matter if the price of that house is $200,000 or $2 million. Now, you may not want to admit that, but if you're honest with yourself, you're going to realize that it's true. Now, the problem with making decisions based on a monthly payment is that you lose touch with the price. And in the case of buying a house, that can come back to bite you. And we don't have to look very far to find examples of this. Back in 2021, mortgage rates were low, and everyone was willing to pay whatever it took to buy a house. But when we fast forward to today, anyone who bought a house back then who is trying to sell their house in the current market is finding out in real time that when buyers can't afford both the high prices and the high mortgage rates, that seller is confronted with a choice. They can either reduce the price of the house or flip the house to a rental and try to wait out the market. Now, the other component of home prices is that everyone expects the value of their house to go up over time. This is a reasonable expectation because it's been true historically. These are the median prices in both Austin and the state of Texas, all the way up to the pandemic. There is some variation month to month, but you can clearly see the trend is upward, especially after around 2012. This chart shows both Austin and the U.S. median prices during the price run-ups. You'll see that from early 2021 to mid-2022, the Austin median price jumped from about $350,000 to $550,000. After mortgage rates began to rise, the median price settled back to around $450,000. So the difference between the start of the pandemic and now is about $100,000, which is 28% higher than the $350,000 at the start of the pandemic. Another way to say that exact same thing is that's about 6 years of 5% annual appreciation growth compressed into a period of less than 2 years. So even though everyone expects their home value to go up, and that is the historical trend, how much it goes up or how long it takes to go up, or if it even goes up at all, will be determined by the price you pay when you buy the home. You know, I make these videos to provide information to help you make better decisions when you're buying or selling real estate. But the only way I'll know is if you like them or if you find them useful is if you like the video, leave a comment, or subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate here in the Austin area, I would love to help you out. Shoot me a text or an email or schedule a phone call on the YouTube channel page. But enough about that. If we can agree that the price you pay for the home is probably more important than the interest rates you pay on the loan to finance that purchase, how can we determine whether a house is priced right? Now remember, I'm not talking about pulling comparable sales to get an idea of what similar houses have sold for in the last 60 or 90 days. I'm talking about what are some of the things that you should consider to ensure, or at least increase the likelihood, that if you had to sell that house within a couple of years after you purchased it, that there would be a high probability that you could get more than you paid for it. Now before we get into that, let me say this. I fully understand that buying a house is a very personal experience. After all, you're going to live there. You might plan on raising a family there, or you might want to feel more a part of the community. But in addition to all that stuff that makes you excited about moving to a specific neighborhood or finding that perfect home, in addition to all of that, that home is also the easiest and safest way to increase your personal wealth. If you live in that house for at least 2 years, you will pay 0 taxes on any profits you make if you sell the house for more than you paid for it. That's called capital gains. And since it's your primary residence, if you're single, you can make up to $250,000 in capital gains and pay 0 taxes. If you're married, that goes up to $500,000. So, if increasing your personal wealth is important to you, let's talk about some of the things that you should consider to figure out whether that house is priced right so that you can maximize that future appreciation. First, a lot of things that are important to you are also going to be important to that future buyer or tenant. Things like the location, nearby amenities, the aesthetic appeal of both the neighborhood and the house itself, and the school district. Even if you don't have children in school, the school district that house is in is going to play a huge role in determining that future perceived value. You should also realize there can be variations within a school district. As an example, the Round Rock ISD up north is often highly rated by third-party ranking sites. But they have 8 high schools, 14 middle schools, and 35 elementary schools in that school district. And each one of them is going to rank higher or lower compared to the other ones in that same school district. Now, I'm not saying you need to become an expert in school districts, especially when you consider that you're effectively forecasting what the ranking of those school districts might look like in several years from now. All I'm saying is this is something that you should take into consideration. Now, another one that a lot of people have a hard time seeing through is the perceived advantages of buying new construction versus an older home that might need a little bit of remodeling or refreshing. Now, in today's market, there are a lot of examples where buying the new construction is probably going to make more sense, especially if that 10-year-old home that needs a little remodeling is priced the same. But remember, if you're buying in a master plan community that will eventually have 1,000 homes, and you're buying in phase 1, if you ever decide to sell that home, your primary competition is going to be that model home until that development is complete. Now, with respect to remodeling, that truly is a separate video or a series of videos. But as an example, if you can buy a house and spend $10,000 to $20,000 painting it, refreshing the floors, maybe updating the kitchen and the bathrooms, and that after that remodel, the value of that house increases $80,000 to $100,000, buying that older home is something that you might want to consider. And remember, if you're planning to shelter those capital gains from income taxes, you have 2 years to complete those repairs. If you want to learn more about what we can expect with mortgage rates and home prices in the Austin Metro, you might want to check out this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. That way you'll get a notification every time I post a new video.